It is 6:40 in the evening. You are standing at a shop counter with a 500 rupee note already in your hand, a cold drink sweating in the other. The cashier slides a scratch card across without looking up. 500 rupees. You do not think about it. Nobody thinks about it. 500 rupees is the price of not having to decide. You scratch the card in the car park with a coin from the dashboard tray. Nothing. You already knew it would be nothing. You drop it on the passenger seat with the others from this week. Drink half the can on the way home. By tomorrow, you will not remember this happened. That is the entire point of 500 rupees. It is the exact amount that disappears without leaving a mark. Now, hold that 500 rupees in your mind, because this is a story about the same 500 rupees every single day for 40 years, and about the two completely different people it quietly decides you will become. You were 25. It's the next evening. Same counter, same cashier. This time, you do not reach for the card. You do not buy the can. You walk out with nothing in your hands, sit in the car, and open a simple investment app you downloaded the night before. You move 500 rupees into an index fund. The whole market, one tap, no opinion required. The screen shows your balance as 500 rupees. It looks absurd. It looks like a child's savings account. You feel slightly ridiculous, like someone planting a single seed in an empty field and calling it a farm. There is no rush, no thrill, no number scratched to reveal something exciting. There is just 500 rupees sitting in something that owns a small piece of every major company in the world. You do it again the next day and the next. Then you set it to happen automatically so you never have to feel the decision. So the 500 rupees leaves before you can spend it on something with a wrapper. 15,000 rupees a month moving quietly towards something you cannot touch. You barely notice it's gone. That was always the strange part about the 500 rupees. It disappeared either way. You just changed where it went. You are 26. A full year has passed. The balance is roughly 190,000 rupees. You put in 180,000 of your own money. The market added the rest while you slept. 10,000 rupees, a number so small it feels almost like an insult. You mention it at lunch to a colleague once. He asks how much you have made. You tell him. He laughs, not cruelly, just honestly. 10,000 in a whole year, he says. I make that in a weekend. He's not wrong. He buys lunch outside every day, a cold drink every evening on the way home, a scratch card when the jackpot gets loud. Roughly 500 rupees a day scattered across 100 small pleasures he'll never be able to name later. You say nothing. You close your phone. The difference between you and him this year is 10,000 rupees and a habit nobody can see. The 10,000 rupees is not the part that matters. The habit is. You were 30, 5 years in. The balance is roughly 1,100,000 rupees. You've put in roughly 900,000 of it. The rest appeared out of time. 1,100,000 rupees built entirely out of things you did not buy. You do the math one night and realize it equals every cold drink, every scratch card, every 500 rupees handed over at every counter you've stood at since you were 25, except instead of being gone, it's in an account with your name on it. That same month, a friend sends you a message, a screenshot, some investment up 400% in a week. He's put 200,000 rupees in. He tells you to stop being cautious, that your boring fund makes in a year what his thing makes before lunch. He's right about the speed. He's wrong about the direction. You've seen this exact shape before, on a counter, under a coin, in a car park. The promise that a small amount becomes a large amount instantly, with no time in between. That promise has a name where you grew up, and the name is a scratch card. You tell him you will pass. He sends a laughing emoji and puts in more. 3 months later, his investment is down 90%, and he stopped mentioning it. You keep doing the most boring thing a person can do with money. You keep being slow and steady and early to everything. You were 35, 10 years. The balance is roughly 2,800,000 rupees. You've put in roughly 1,800,000 of your own money. The market has handed you almost 1 million more for the simple act of not flinching. Then the year goes bad. The whole market drops. Headlines use the word crash. Your balance falls by a third in a few weeks, more lost on paper than you earned all year at work. A friend who sold everything at the bottom of the last crash told you he saw it coming, that he's in cash now, safe. You don't sell, but it's quieter than a decision. You simply stop checking the app every day. You let the number fall. You keep the 15,000 going out every month, buying the same fund while it's cheaper than it's been in years.
You ain't brave exactly, you're just steady enough to do nothing, and doing nothing turns out to be the rarest skill in all of personal finance. By the time everyone agrees it's safe to come back in, your boring habit had already been buying through the bottom nobody else could see. You were 40, 15 years. The market came back the way it always has, and the balance is roughly 5,200,000 rupees. You've put in roughly 2,700,000 of your own money. For the first time in your life, the account holds more money than you ever fed into it. Read that again, because this is the moment everything changes. Up until now, you were pushing a stone uphill 500 rupees at a time, and the hill barely moved. Now the stone is rolling on its own, and your job is to not stand in front of it. A colleague loses his job that year. He has nothing behind him, no cushion, nothing between him and the first missed salary but the next one. You have a number you've never touched and never planned to touch, sitting quietly in the background. And for the first time, you understand that the 500 rupees was never only about some distant retirement. It was always also a wall between you and the version of a bad year that ends in panic. You don't tell him about it. You buy his lunch and say nothing.
You are 45, 20 years. The balance is around 8,900,000 rupees. You have contributed 3,600,000 across 2 decades, 500 rupees at a time, and the account has more than doubled that on its own. Something strange is now true. The return the market gives you in a single good year is starting to rival what you put in yourself. Your account has begun working a second job you never assigned it. You go to a reunion that summer. Someone arrives in a car that costs more than your annual salary. Someone else talks loudly about a watch. You drive the same paid-off car you have had for 8 years, the one that owes you nothing. Your old colleague from the first job is there, the one who laughed at your 10,000 rupee return in year 1. He still buys lunch outside every day. He still buys the scratch card. He asks, half joking, if you ever did anything with that little investment app. You tell him you stuck with it. He asks how much is in there now. You tell him. The table goes quiet in a way you did not ask for and do not enjoy. You change the subject. The 500 rupees was never loud. It was the one thing in the room that never needed to be. You are 50, 25 years. The balance is around 14,400,000 rupees. You have contributed roughly 4,500,000 in total, and the account has tripled that without asking your permission. You read the news differently now. Stories about how most people your age have almost nothing saved, how a comfortable retirement is slipping away, how the numbers no longer work for ordinary earners. You are an ordinary earner. You did the same kind of work as the people in those headlines, made roughly the same salary, paid the same rent, sat in the same traffic on the same roads, going to the same kinds of jobs. The only thing you did differently was refuse a scratch card and a cold drink quietly for 25 years and send the difference into the most unremarkable fund in existence. Your friends your age talk about retirement like a cliff they're being marched toward. You talk about it like weather, something that arrives whether you worry about it or not. You do not say that out loud. By now, you understand the number is loudest when it stays silent. You are 55, 30 years. The balance is around 22,600,000 rupees. You have put in roughly 5,500,000 across 3 decades in amounts small enough to lose between sofa cushions. The other 17 million was never yours to earn. It was time, and you simply gave time the room it needed to do its work. This is the year the mathematics quietly flips for good. The account now grows more in a strong year from its own size than you could add manually even if you doubled your contributions. You have become a passenger to your own balance. The thing you built is now bigger than the building of it. You do not talk about the number. Not to your children, not to your colleagues, not to the friend who once told you to stop being so cautious. The number lives in a place no one looks, which is exactly where it grew. You are 65, 40 years from the evening you did not buy the scratch card. The balance is around 53 million rupees.
Sit with the breakdown because it is the whole story in 3 numbers. Of that 53 million, the amount you actually contributed yourself, 500 rupees at a time every single day for 40 years, is 7,300,000 rupees. The other 45,700,000 rupees is growth, money you never earned, never worked an hour for, never noticed leaving, and never watched arrive. You did not get lucky. You did not pick a winning stock. You did not time any market. You simply skipped a scratch card and a cold drink 40,000 times in a row and let the smallest possible amount sit in the most ordinary possible place for the longest possible time. That is the entire mechanism. There is no second secret, no version of this where someone hands you the 45 million faster. The slowness was the price, and almost nobody is willing to pay in a currency that takes 40 years to clear. Your old colleague retires the same year you do. Same kind of job, same salary range the whole way. A decent man who never missed a day of work. He spent his 500 rupees a day on 1,000 small comforts he genuinely enjoyed in the moment and cannot point to now. Over 40 years, his version of the 500 rupees also added up to 7,300,000 rupees, the exact same money.
He drank it, scratched it, ate it, dropped it on the passenger seat. You and he stood at the same counter and held the same 500 rupee note on the same kinds of evenings for 40 years. He has a lifetime of small pleasures and a pension. You have those same small pleasures, mostly, and also 53 million rupees sitting behind your life like a second person who has been quietly working the entire time. Nobody can point to the day the two of you went in different directions. There was no day. There were just 2 different answers to the same small question, asked again every evening, until the answers stopped being choices and simply became 2 different lives. Somewhere right now it is 6:40 in the evening. Someone is standing at a shop counter with a 500 rupee note already in their hand. The cold drink, the scratch card sliding across without the cashier looking up. They will scratch it in the car park with a coin from the dashboard tray. It'll be nothing. They already know it is going to be nothing. They are not doing anything wrong. 500 rupees is nothing. That has always been the trap and the door at the same time. It is too small to matter, which is exactly why almost no one keeps it, and exactly why it quietly decides everything for the few who do. You were never going to feel the 500 rupees disappear either way. You only ever got to choose what it was turning you into while you were not paying attention. If this story stayed with you, write in the comments, "I'm keeping my 500 rupees." Like this video and subscribe to Wealth Academy, because the next video goes even deeper into the habits that quietly build the lives most people only ever dream about.